What a chance it is for Adam Paxton and Victor Tingsham to pick up their first weekly titles. Adam Paxton, well, it's been the dream debut so far for him. For Victor Tingsham, he'll feel like this is a moment a little while coming. A place in the final up for grabs for one.
You can do it. Make that double 18 away for a place in the final.
Wesley Plaisir was beaten, knocked out by Mike Warburton in a last leg decider.
That is what they are playing for. They are playing for the trophy. They are playing for the big prize pot, and they are playing for a place in the £25,000 Champions Week.
97.
There is a point you feel that reality will surely kick in for Adam Paxton. He's here on debut. He watches the Super Series almost every single week. He was happy just to be playing in a group. This could be the leg that we talk about at the end of the night as being the one that changed the final, because Adam Paxton has just gone cold at the moment.
Bang on cue.
He doesn't just get two, he gets the lot.
Adam should take out the 16 out. If not, Mike's just behind him.
Shot on the fifth leg.
Can Paxton deliver one of the biggest moments of his career so far? He can. Double 12. What a moment that is from Adam Paxton. Mike Warburton was looking at 60 to win the match.
14.
Paxton, here's your moment. He approaches the jockey with confidence, with time, and delivers. Adam Paxton on debut. The boy, the fanboy, comes to the Super Series and wins.
Welcome into all new episode of Bare Knuckle Fighting main event here on SportsGrid. I'm Brian Ciano. Thank you so much for joining us. So we take our weekly look at everything going on in the world of the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships, and we had some action. We told you you'd get some. We told you that, even though this Prospect Series card may not hold the biggest names, may not hold the most, well-known fighters in the lineup for the BKFC, that's usually when you get the best action, because you got a lot of, hungry fighters wanting to get that deal signed. They want to put their best foot forward. They want to put on that performance, and they definitely don't want to leave it to the judges to, possibly mess up the decision and, keep them from getting that deal. We got a lot of action on this card, and we are going to cover it all in just a minute. But before we do, let's tell you what else is coming up on the show. We're going to talk to some of the top performers from this card this past weekend up there in Edmonton, Alberta. We're going to talk to welterweight Drew Wildboy Stuvey. Of course, the headliner beat Sonny Smith by second round TKO. Bunch of knockdowns for him after getting himself dropped probably twice, even though only once was counted in that first round. Comes back with a ferocity in that second round and gets to the finish against the former UK, now fellow Canadian fighter in Sonny Smith. We'll also catch up with Super Chad Lucanis, who we've had on the show before after that first card up in Edmonton, having another great performance by him again. He goes to 2-0. A great finish there in the first round. Just over a minute into the fight, he gets the stoppage there. And then we'll finish it up talking to their teammate. That's right. We might as well call it the Wolf House episode here of the BKFC main event, because all three of these guys, the top three fights, the top three finishers, all coming from the same gym up there in Edmonton. We'll get to meet Hungry Hassan Al Hanim right after those two guys. Talk to him about his fight, his quick finish, the quickest of all three. So you can puff that chest out a little bit more, I think, than the other guys. Of course, all of them having great performances, but he'll come on. We'll get to know him as well and find out what the deal is for these three. Have they heard from the higher-ups at the BKFC? Because, of course, you're fighting on this card. The whole deal is that you want a contract. And these are guys who are not necessarily signed to long-term deals. Just, hey, show up and we'll pay you. Have they talked about futures with the BKFC? Because they all have shown so far that they certainly deserve it with the performances they have put on, especially the ones they put on this past weekend up there at River Cree. So we'll talk to all three of them, and then we'll close up the show later on talking about what's coming up next, because we're getting into card after card here, going down a little bit more south, but still staying up there. Salt Lake City, Utah this weekend for a great card right now with a title on the line between these ladies. We will talk about that with the Christine Misfit Faria putting her belt on the line against another Canadian, Jade Masson Wong. We will talk about all that today on the show. But first, let's recap what happened up there in Edmonton in case you missed it. Now, as we said, when you get these fight cards, these prospect series, people want to put their best foot forward. They want to finish as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of 11 fights ending by KO or TKO. Most of them none of them even getting to the third round. Sorry. I was going to say maybe there was one. No, none of them got out of the second round besides those 2 decisions. So that just shows you how badly some of these fighters wanted to put on a show and prove to the higher ups at the BKFC that they deserve to be brought into the fold, get a couple fight deal, maybe be brought to the U.S. to be put on some of these other cards, or maybe even stack up a card up there in Canada, for the future, for a not prospect series card, but a numbered card or a fight night, maybe in the different city, depending on what the different rules are for the jurisdictions up there with the BKFC. Obviously we've seen it fight at the River Cree. Why not go to Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Quebec? All those could be in play hopefully soon. And hopefully we see some of these fighters get the call to be a big part of those cards because they have put on some great performances. Let's start with the main event. We had this great fight at welterweight between Drew Stuvey and Sonny Smith. And both these guys coming in having won before. And it goes in the hands of Drew Stuvey. He gets the finish. Second round, just over a minute in there. He got 4 knockdowns of his own. He got dropped once, or actually twice in the first round. Ref just missed one of them, I think. But he puts on a great performance using that jab, really, that 1-2, using that length to kind of keep away from Smith. Drops him 10 seconds in with the right. Smith comes back. About 20 seconds later, actually throws a big right that catches Stuvey, puts his knee on the mat, but he jumps right back up. Ref doesn't see it. Fight on. Then continues to go back and forth until about 13 seconds left when you have Stuvey get caught again with the right hand by Smith and kind of stumbles back and onto the butt. He jumps right back up, though. Didn't affect him for any of the wear. No worse for the wear for him because once you heard that clap, there's 10 seconds left in the round. He put it on Smith. If you're going by, okay, each guy had one knockdown technically, what's the thing that steals it? Probably the end of that round for Stuvey, but it wouldn't matter because I don't know what was said in the corner of him, in between rounds. We'll find that out from him, but he comes out with a fury in that second round, comes out aggressive, starts overwhelming Smith. He drops him with about 25 seconds left, 25 seconds in with the jab. Smith gets back up. Then again, about another 25 seconds, dropped again by Stuvey. You could see there that something was off, wasn't right. He got back up, but wasn't himself, and Stuvey saw it as well as he pounces on Smith, overwhelms him, and pretty much knocks him out on the feet. Ref steps in, forgets the 10 count. No point. His opponent is out, and that is the end of the fight. About 1 minute and 10 seconds into the second round. Had a great post-fight saying that, sure, he loves getting into the fights, but it's not uncomfortable there. You're getting punched. He landed some big shots, did Sonny Smith on Stuvey, but still he prevails, shows how tough he is, and says, listen, that's 2 fights, that's 2 great performances. Show me the deal. We'll talk to him next and see if there's been any talks about a contract with him in the BKFC going forward. Then at lightweight, you had his teammate as the co-main event, Hassan Al-Hanim against Ryan Ibsen. And that goes to another Wolfhouse fighter in Hungry Hassan with the TKO in round 1, 1 minute and 13 seconds into the fight. Gets the 3 knockdowns before the stoppage. Then we'll talk about the end. Throws a little shade at a champion there. Ibsen, 8 inches taller, 7 inches reach advantage. Did not matter. Hungry Hassan was getting in there and throwing some big shots, showing his power. About 45 seconds in, he drops him for the second time. And then Ibsen just looked off from there, and it was only a matter of time. 2 big rights drop him for a third time, just over a minute into the fight. Ref calls it. Again, not even going for the count. Fight is over. Knew it was done. And Hungry Hassan gets his second victory for the BKFC. Didn't even seem tired. He said, I can do this all night. Who's next? Give me someone else. I'll go again. Has some big plans. He's interested in going to Spain. He wants to get a little extra travel, on the BKFC dime and head over to that card in Marbella. That's the Marbella card's only about a month away. So, obviously feeling like he can get right back in there. We'll see how he's feeling now a couple days later, if there's any injuries that could hold him back on that. But he's ready to get back in there. And, of course, as we said, threw some shade at the champ at 145, Kai Stewart. Ibsen was his teammate, apparently talked a little smack on Hungry Hassan before the fight, thought his guy was going to get the victory, thought he was going to get the finish. Complete opposite. Hungry Hassan gets the victory, calls out Kai Stewart and says, you know what, maybe I'll come for your title. You're going to talk smack on me. So he is his eyes set on a championship, maybe not even the division he was fighting in. Also at lightweight, Super Chad Lucanis, who we've had on the show before, defeated Zach Pinnell by TKO in round 1. Again, another Wolf House fighter. Minute and 15 is the official one on that one. He got 2 knockdowns before the stoppage. Very interesting fight with Pinnell kind of just throwing the fist out there, the jab out there, a little herky-jerky motion. Never really moving the head, though, and that probably cost him as you get some good body punches by Super Chad doing some damage there. You know, he had one where he catches him with the left on the body, then drops him with the right hand about 50 seconds in. Now Pinnell gets back up, but Lucanis jumps right back on him and again attacks the body, drops him for a second time, this time only with the body shots, and Pinnell says, forget it, stop counting, I'm done. He calls out of that fight, and that is another win for Super Chad. We also had a great knockout at heavyweight by Kotak there against Jonathan Miller, just over a minute in with 2 knockdowns. You had Taylor Bull with a first-round knockdown as well with 2 knockdowns. You had Caden Smith getting a unanimous decision win over Dan Gotti. Both guys debuting. Smith getting the knockdown in the 4th round. That's probably the difference. And a number of other knockdowns throughout the card. Make sure you go check it out. BKFC Prospect Series Edmonton was a great night of fights. A lot of great finishes. You can probably watch them all in about 30 minutes, so you don't have to take too much time. But when we come back, we'll talk to one of the top performers of the night with our guy, of course, Drew Stuvey, here on the show.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Would it make you feel better as a bettor or as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh God, to say it out loud? Oh my God, no.
So what?
No, to say it out loud? Oh my God, you can't say that out loud. No, you can't even. You can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal? Either way.
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I feel like the first person to take a kicker in fantasy football is somebody that feels like, man, I had a really bad draft. Let me make sure I get the best kicker. The way I've always looked at it that way. Like, oh, I did so bad, so let me take Justin Tucker.
The key for me is, though, I make marks. Okay, this guy, I'll highlight him because I don't want 3 or 4 of these guys. I draft 3 or 4 of these guys and they all get hurt. I have no one to blame but me.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Ohtani, right? People will sort of see, oh, Ohtani did this, Ohtani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, reaches, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Let's go. Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship. The golf has been mesmerizing. They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Welcome back into Bare Knuckle Fighting main event here on SportsGrid. Awesome card this weekend up in Edmonton. We had a great card with the Prospect Series. The first time the BKFC went to Canada, they did not disappoint. Once again, putting on great performances from top to bottom. Just loads of finishes. As we talked about before, sometimes you get these guys and girls that are hungry to get in there and get that contract. You get some great performances. We certainly did lots of finishes. And the man who, topped it all off, the cherry on top, Drew Stuvey joins us now as he comes off of his win over, of course, Sonny Smith in the main event of that. A great second round knockout. Drew, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. I want to get into the fight. It was an awesome fight. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but we got you for a little bit here. So first I want to get into the, a little bit of the background before we get to that for people who may not have known you, may not follow you as much as, they are going to now with the BKFC, hopefully. But, you began your athletic career as many fighters do in a different sport. And being from Canada, of course, it was hockey. But unlike most, fighters from hockey, you weren't one of those guys out there dropping the gloves, mixing it up. You were a goalie. So I know things are a little rougher up in the W and juniors up there. But how does a goalie become a fighter after a hockey career?
Honestly, my fighting all started outside of hockey, just on the street. I was always getting in street fights and stuff. I was kind of a rough goalie, took some penalties here and there, but I never really got in any fights in hockey. But I feel like being a goalie is similar, not the fighting aspect, just the pressure, lots of pressure on the goalie. You're in there alone. You're not on the bench with all the other teammates. You're not talking to everyone like you always are. As a player, you're just, you're in your own head. You're sitting there alone in the net the whole game. It's a lot like that as a fighter. You're in there alone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're the goalie, if you make the save you're supposed to, if you don't, then it's your fault. Not the guys that let the three guys with the puck come in front of you. So that's a tough spot to be in, of course. And now you get that pressure on you now as a fighter, as you mentioned, and you've done great with it so far. I've had not a flinch at all getting in there. 2 great fights with the BKFC. Now your second win in a row, a second round finish over Sonny Smith, as we said. But how was the crowd there? I know you talked about previously after the first card up there earlier this year that you've been to fights there at that arena, at the River Cree Arena. There's nothing that is ever compared to the way that it was lit up for the BKFC earlier this year. Was it just as good the second time, or was it even better?
Oh, it was even better for me, man. I sold even more tickets this time. It was crazy. It was so much fun walking out. It was like vibrating in there. I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
I'm sure it was, pumping you up and getting you ready to go as you had this fight against Sonny Smith, of course, the UK fighter now making his residency in Canada. But, you the hometown guy, front in Edmonton there. As you said, lots of tickets, lots of fans there for you. Your training partners in your gym right behind you there, leading the way in the 2 fights before you. We're going to talk to them later on in the show. But early on in the fight, obviously you had a big advantage in height and reach in that one. You used that a couple inches each way, and that worked to you, your advantage right away, using that jab, that 1-2 easy early on, just kind of finding that range. What was it like for you in the beginning before you dropped him? 10 seconds in, right again with that right, you hit him, you dropped him right away. What kind of, I'm sure that was a huge confidence boost. Forget all the fans, forget everything that was going on before the fight or around it. When you get right into the fight and probably about 5-6 punches in, you knock the guy in his ass, that's got to be a huge boost.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I had so much confidence after that. And then I got dropped like shortly after. I was like, oh, shit, this isn't going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be. But, I came back. I came out strong in the second, and I dominated that second round. But yeah, that was a fun fight, man. I've watched it back a couple times now, and it was exciting.
Yeah, he actually, caught you twice in that first round. They only counted the one. It looked like that about 35 seconds in. He caught you with that right, and that knee might have touched. The ref didn't see it. You're just that quick, I guess. Jumped right back up. He didn't notice it, or I don't know. You tell me if you stopped it right before it hit the mat, what happened there. And then later on, of course, right before the end of the round, he does catch you where it is the knockdown, but again, right back up. And in that case, even you finished the round stronger, just coming at him with some big combos after the clap of the boards are letting you know there was only 10 seconds left. What was going through your mind after that? The first, was it a knockdown, that first one? Did your knee touch? And then what was going on as the round progressed and he caught you that second time with that right? What kind of, readjustment did you have to make?
It's funny. I don't even remember that knee touch. Like, someone said that to me after the fight about me getting knocked down twice. And I was like, what? I didn't get knocked down twice. I had to watch it back. And I was like, oh, shit. I guess I almost did get knocked down. I guess it happened so fast and I reacted so quick and bounced back up so quick. I didn't even remember it happening. But the second knockdown I'd say it's more so he just knocked me off balance, if anything. Like, he hit me, but I was just kind of in an awkward spot against the ropes. My legs were my feet were close together. I wasn't like wide spread out in my stance. And I think it just kind of caught me off balance because I popped right back up. Like, my head was fine. I felt fine.
Yeah, like we said, he got back up and you put it right back on him to end the round. I mean, if it wasn't obviously, well, since they didn't count that first one as a knockdown, he probably still up on the scorecards maybe with that little flurry at the end, because judges always like the way you end a round, of course. But it didn't matter because that second round, you came out on fire. What was said to you in between the rounds? Was there anything your corner said about making adjustments, or was it just something in the back of your head that you need to turn it back up and be aggressive again and get back on him like you did to start round one?
Yeah, my coach Ryan Ford, he told me you need to sit down, stay low, and throw the 2-3, the right cross and the left hook. He said every single time you throw it, you're landing it. So I remember right off the bat, I went out and I just made sure my stance was low and I wasn't standing up tall, being wide open. And yeah, every time I threw that 2-3, it landed.
Yeah, it certainly did. You got the 3 knockdowns in that second round before you get the finish. 25 seconds in, you jump on him with the jab. It seemed to put him down. Then he gets back up, and like another 20 seconds later, you get him with the counter left. And then, it seemed like at that point you knew he was hurt and smelled blood because you just overwhelmed him to the point of the ref stepping in before he even hit the ground, just knowing he was on his feet.
Yeah, I saw his face after that second knockdown in the second round, and I was like, oh man, this guy's dead. As soon as the ref lets us go at it again, I'm going to jump all over him. I knew the fight was over.
Well, you certainly did that. You got the finish there. Another great performance for you in the BKFC. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back with Drew Stuve, we're going to talk more about, what's going on since, how he feels about this fight, about how great your teammates have been with you as well, and the journey you guys are on trying to get into the BKFC and get those contracts.
Buy or sell, Anthony Richardson will be a top 7 fantasy quarterback this season. We're keeping this realistic here. We know that nobody would think that he'll be in the top 3, probably not even the top 5. How about top 7, George? Buy or sell?
If he stays healthy, top 5 is not out of question here at all. He's a running quarterback. We know how valuable they can be. My worry is going to be what I mentioned when we talked about the Indianapolis Colts. Boy, man, if Pittman were to go down, there's not a lot to throw. He'll be running for his life half the time there. I like Richardson a lot. Small sample size of what we saw of what he's going to be. I played the 5 games last year before the injury here. So, or a longer season, we'll see if he gets to catch up to him, what he can do. He's going to have to prove he can throw the ball, so be down the field here. I'm going to buy this. All right, I want to buy on Anthony Richardson. I want him to be that guy because I want to see the excitement that he can bring. I think smart money might say go the other way because there's so many quarterbacks in that tier that hey, he could have a good year and still not finish top 7. That being said, I think he will show just like he did last year. He's going to be dynamic. I'm buying top 7.
Yeah, it reminds me so much of Cam Newton in the early days too. I'm going to sell on this. I think it's too high. I think most leagues take away points for interceptions. If that's the case, I think his numbers are going to be 20-something touchdowns, 15, 16-something interceptions. That's going to negate some stuff. Yes, he will run. Can he play an entire season? Still very questionable for me. I have him as the 9th best fantasy quarterback at the end of the season, just outside the top 7. So I'm going to go sell on that.
Welcome back into Bare Knuckle Fighting Main Event. We continue to talk to Drew Stuve here after his great fight, another great performance. That's 2 great wins for him in the BKFC as the headliner of this Edmonton Prospect Series card, getting the finish of Sonny Smith in the second round. Now, Drew, in the post-fight you're talking about, I loved your answer there because, there's a lot of guys who, obviously, you got to be a little crazy to do this as it is at any kind of combat sport, but, some guys just, say they love it. And that's it. Like, it's no big deal. I love getting hit. But you flat out said, no, this sucks. I'm getting hit in the face. It's not fun. but I do love it too. I am, crazy like that. So you didn't completely just go with, oh yeah, this is great, no big deal. But, you had a great performance. You get another finish here. What was it like for you to, how much did it amp you up? Obviously, you had the fans there, all the tickets you sold, but to have your training partners, your gym partners in there with you, leading up and then putting on great performances right before you get in there, 2 finishes before your fight, headlining everything. How much more did that even amp you up? Or did you have to, calm yourself down a little bit to stay focused with all that going well for Wolf House there?
Yeah, I was super pumped for my training partners, like especially with their like Chad and Hassan first round crazy finishes. Is just it almost adds a little more pressure. Every single person from my gym won, so then everybody's like, all right, it's your turn, time to close out the show and we'll get the sweep tonight. I'm like, I can't lose now, I have to win, right?
Absolutely, and you did. You put on a great show for the fans. I'm sure the after party was even more fun. What's it, where do you stand right now with the BKFC? I know that you have said after the fight you want that contract. It's only been a couple days, but have there been any talks? Did anybody get in contact with you right after the fight there? I know Dave wasn't there, but I think Nate Shook was in attendance. Has anybody, reached out to you yet? Is this something that's going to happen? Are we going to get the Wild Boy down in the U.S. here on some of these bigger cards, or maybe opening up, one of these big cards when they finally start putting some numbered events in Canada? What's the latest here after that great performance by you?
Yeah, I got a work eligibility application from BKFC yesterday, so I'm assuming that that's just to see if I'm eligible to work in the States. So I hope after that the contract will be coming next. I filled that out, handed it in, so I'm just waiting for the actual contract to come now.
That's awesome news. Hopefully that leads to you coming in there soon and put on some great performances for us down here. What's it been like after the fight? How are you feeling? Any injuries that you have to let heal before you get back into action, or are you right back in the gym ready to work and get on one of these cards here before the end of the year?
It's been good, man. I took the last couple days off. Went to the lake with my girlfriend yesterday. Just been kind of relaxing. I got a little slight injury in my left hand. Nothing major. I'll probably be back in the gym. I'll go to the gym today. I'm not going to hit anything, but I'll go for a run, maybe lift some weights. But I'll be back in the gym right away. Hopefully be back boxing here by the end of the week, or maybe beginning of next week. I'm ready to rock. Like I want to fight again before the end of the year for sure.
Yeah, you got some great stuff going on up there. I was, checking out your Instagram before you came on, and I saw you chilling at the lake right before the fight. I saw at one point some waterfalls out there. I'm not sure where those are. I've never been up to Edmonton. Tell people what it's like. The different areas up there that people can check out and enjoy if they haven't been up there before, and what the fight scene is like for not just the BKFC, but for fight fans in general up there in Edmonton.
No, I was over at Sylvan Lake. That's probably our one nice lake in Alberta. Alberta is definitely not as nice for lakes as BC, but Sylvan Lake is pretty nice. Only about an hour and a half from Edmonton. And yeah, man, the fight scene's actually pretty unreal in Edmonton. We got really good MMA scene out here. We got decent boxing scene. There's lots of good guys. Like I'd say our gym for sure. We have all the best boxers for sure in Alberta. So I got unreal training partners out here. Great guys to spar with. We're like a family at our gym, so I love it out here.
And you guys are getting the results for sure. You're putting your name on the map. I mean, forget just signing you up. We got to sign up the whole gym, it looks like, at this point, with the results you guys have with Super Chad and Hungry Hassan as well, who we're going to be talking to later in the show. What's on the horizon for you? And, obviously you want to keep going with the BKFC. You want that contract. Is there anybody that you're looking at that, maybe is out there, got a target on their back for you if you get that deal and get to come down here and fight for the BKFC on one of these other cards?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe Jeremiah Riggs. He beat Sonny last time. I beat Sonny this time. It kind of just makes sense to me. He's fairly well known in the BKFC. I don't want easy fights. I want fights that are going to put my name on the map. So me and Riggs, I feel like that would be a banger of a fight.
That would be a great fight. I think a lot of power back and forth. Someone's going out in that one. I'm sure the fans would love to see it. We're looking forward to getting some news, hopefully, about maybe you getting that deal and being part of the BKFC for going into the future. Thanks so much, Drew Stuvey, for joining us. Great job once again headlining that card up there in Edmonton. We're looking forward to seeing the future for you with this organization.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
buy or sell. Anthony Richardson will be a top 7 fantasy quarterback this season. We're keeping this realistic here. We know and nobody would think that he'll be in the top 3, probably not even the top 5. How about top 7, George? Buy or sell?
You know, if he stays healthy, top 5 is not out of question here at all. He's a running quarterback. We know how valuable they can be. My worry is going to be what I mentioned when we talked about the Indianapolis Colts. Boy, man, if Pittman were to go down, there's not a lot to throw. He'll be running for his life half the time there. I like Richardson a lot. Small sample size of what we saw of what he's going to be. I played the 5 games last year before the injury here. So over a longer season, we'll see if he gets some catch up to him, what he can do. He's going to have to prove he can throw the ball. So he'll be down the field here. I'm going to buy this. All right, I want to buy on Anthony Richardson. I want him to be that guy because I want to see the excitement that he can bring. That I think, smart money might say go the other way because there's so many quarterbacks in that tier that, hey, he could have a good year and still not finish top 7. That being said, I think he will show, just like he did last year, he's going to be dynamic. I'm buying top 7.
Yeah, it reminds me so much of Cam Newton in the early days too. I'm going to sell on this. I think it's too high. I think most leagues take away points for interceptions. If that's the case, I think his numbers are going to be 20-something touchdowns, 15, 16-something interceptions. That's going to negate some stuff. Yes, he will run. Can he play an entire season? Still very questionable for me. I have him as the 9th best fantasy quarterback at the end of the season, just outside the top 7. So I'm going to go sell on that.
Welcome back into Bare Knuckle Fighting main event here on SportsGrid. We continue to look at this awesome Prospect Series card we just had up in Edmonton. Another one of those guys who made a great performance, a second performance for him for the BKFC in the same way up in Edmonton as Chad Lucanis. We've had him on before. You got to know him. Let's talk to him again about this. I mean, it's same team, same results for the top 3 fights right there, Chad. We'll talk about, you guys up there in Edmonton, how you're doing this first in a minute. But tell me about the fight now. Pinnell came in there with a very weird style. He's he wasn't really moving his head, but a lot of herky-jerky movement, a lot of putting the jab out there, but not actually throwing it. Obviously, with how short the fight went, it didn't take you long to figure it out. But was it throwing you off at first when he was just throwing that out there, or was it just a matter of time before you got the timing?
To me, it was like, I gave it like the first maybe 10, 20 seconds. I'm just like, okay, let's see what he does. And then I can, from seeing his past fights, I can tell he was just waiting to throw that right hand. But then, I don't know. To me, I was like, let's get this done. I'm trying to party.
And you got it done quick. You came in there and, started landing your shots there about 50 seconds in. You dropped him with the left body to the head, and then he gets back up, but then, you go right back to that body, and that puts him down again, and, he calls it quits there, tells the ref to stop even counting. What was it going into the fight? Was it you knew that it was just a matter of time? Did you know the body shots were going to be as effective as they were? What was the plan going in, which obviously, whatever the plan was, worked out pretty well if you followed it to perfection there with a quick stoppage?
Yeah, the plan was pretty much just be behind my jab, because you can see after I dropped him the first time, right before I set up the body shot, I was just, I'm throwing out, I think it was maybe 2-3 jabs, and I'm like, let's see how he reacts. And then I noticed, I'm like, he's not doing shit. And he kept his elbows really high, because I just knew, he was waiting for me to come in and commit to being on the inside, and then he's gonna let his right hand go. But the thing is with me is, man, once I find that open spot, I'm way too fast. I'm going to get in there, and you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, it was obviously a very stark difference the way he was kind of throwing that jab out, but not even really throwing it. You use it to perfection to get that distance, to get to the zone where you wanted to be, to where you could really unleash that power. Is that always a big part of your fight plan, or is that just something that was going to work out well in this one because of your opponent? How big is the jab for you, throughout your fights so far in your career?
To me, in general, man, I've always believed since day one, like the jab is like when I was taught like boxing in the beginning is the jab opens doors. You know, like if you don't have a good jab, right, you can't really do anything. Like there's nothing's gonna land. Like, and for me too, as a coach of myself, I always tell people, I'm like, man, you don't know how to use that jab, you're not gonna land. It doesn't matter how strong you are, you gotta know how to use that jab. And for me, even when I fight, the jab starts off everything, man. Like if you got a good jab, you can go around the world.
Well, worked out perfectly well, but of course the big shots to the body are what finish him, and that is it for him. As now you get another win in the BKFC. Again in Edmonton, in your hometown area, and I'm sure being there and fighting in front of those fight fans has helped the notoriety you're getting. As I saw, the article they wrote about you on the BKFC site that you're actually starting to get recognized a little bit from these fights that you've had with the BKFC, and some kids are actually starting to become little fans of Super Chad.
Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I've already heard like some kids have used me for like school projects and stuff, and I'm like, just hearing that, it's so unreal. It's like, man, like I'm literally just living the dream I'm like thought of for years, and now it's just unfolded in front of me. So it's pretty dope.
And how big is that for you? Pushing forward. I mean, obviously you're going to get attention in the gym from your students, from your teammates. Of course, as we said, your team had a great night there at Edmonton. But how big is it to start seeing that happen with people who you don't see in your everyday life, you don't see in your regular coaching, just starting to become fans of the sport? How big is it getting there, the BKFC, after these 2 Edmonton cards? And how big do you think it could grow throughout the rest of Canada?
Oh man, it's pretty wild. Like it's kind of funny. Like yesterday, I was just out hanging out with a friend of mine. Just, he just want to take me out for celebration and go eat. And next thing you know, I jump out of the car. Some dude across the street sees me and recognizes me. He's like waving at me, and I'm like, who the f*** is this guy? And then he's just like, I just want to say congrats, man. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what the hell? This guy just recognized me. So, like, with these 2 BKFC fights in Canada and, like, being the first BKFC events in Canada, like, it's pretty crazy. Like it's grown so much, and like me and the boys and like the guys that competed from our gym, like we're starting to get recognized and stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see how fast it just went, crazy.
Talk about your gym a little bit more, because obviously, big night for you guys. The top 3 fights in that card, all the winners came from the same gym. I mean, obviously, whenever you get a card like that in a certain area, the BKC is going to try to put local talent on there. You had a bunch of Canadian fighters throughout the card, but especially those top 3 were you guys from Edmonton there, making your mark. What's it been like going through this journey with them? How helpful is it to have, not just guys in your corner who are going through the same stuff as fighters, but are going through the same stuff as BKFC fighters in this, young combat sport? And, we already know about some of these other gyms that are starting to do similar things in the BKFC, like, of course, Shift MMA down in Tampa with multiple champions and fighters on the rise and ready to fight for belts. But, talk about the stamp that you guys are making up there in your home gym.
This is the thing with Wolf House. Like, I've been with Wolf House literally since the beginning, ever since I've, like, started training. I met my coach, Parvez, back in like 2016, and ever since I met this guy, man, I was like, this is the guy, like this is the guy I want to follow and see, like, what we can do in this game. And then, along the way, like all these other guys like came in, we all came together, right? And then just, man, it's become a brotherhood. Like we all support each other. We're brothers. Like at the end of the day, we're brothers, like throughout anything in life, not just fighting, even outside of the gym. Like we're brothers, we have each other's back. So the thing is what I feel is just with our bond, man, it's so strong. And like just when you have a strong team, man, like you can do anything, like you can, if you want to go fast, go alone, sure, but bro, you want to go far, you gotta have a solid team. And for me, I believe like I'm in the right place with the right guys, and we're gonna do crazy things together.
Yeah, I saw the picture your coach put up recently about with you and Hassan. It was like 6, I think he said it's like 6 years ago, before you even had a pro fight of you guys in there, looking all, him without the beard, you guys looking a lot younger. Of course, the beating you're taking in Wolf House, I'm sure, put the years on, but you guys are coming out on top and looking great right now. what's your status right now with the BKFC? Obviously, the whole thing with the prospect series is to see new talent, and eventually some of these guys and girls are going to get signed. Have they offered you a contract yet? Have you had talks about that with them, getting on some of these bigger cards down in the States, especially, tuned finishes, quick finishes, no damage done to you. So, you're ready to go right back in there. Have you had talks with the BKFC about taking this further?
As of right now, it's been only a few days since the fight. I haven't really heard of anything. Nothing really, just kind of chilling. But all I remember is on the Bare Knuckle show on the following Tuesday after my last fight in March, David Feldman said, if I do what I do in August 31st like I did in March, that's guaranteed contract. So I'm kind of just waiting, So we'll see how that goes. I think I deserve it, right, from my skills and my performance. I feel like with 2 fights like that now, with 2 performances like that now, I believe that, I deserve that. It just makes sense. It's what God wants.
Let's go. Send the paperwork. I know we had the Halloween weekend, Dave, but let's go. Let's get it on the dotted line here. Super Chad needs to get on some big cards here and get some big spots. You've shown so far up in Edmonton what you can do in front of the hometown fans. Let's take them around the world here. And so Super Chat to the rest of the BKFC faithful. Great job once again. Great win over Zach Pinella. A quick, dismantling of him. And we're looking forward to seeing you hopefully in there again soon.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. I'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the target for right hand from my Perry, double jumping. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining on number 1.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knuckle Mania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this thing all the way to the top now.
Welcome back to Bare Knuckle Fighting main event here on SportsGrid. We should just call it this week the Wolf House Show because, all the top fighters from this card, all put on the best performances, all from the same gym. And we get another one right now as you talk to Hungry Hassan Hanim right now. Al Hanim, a great performance there right now in his last fight against Ryan Ibsen in Edmonton this past week in TKO, round 1. Now, Hassan, first of all, we talked to Chad, we talked to Drew. All of you guys getting the finishes, all of you guys getting multiple knockdowns for the before the finish. Who how do we judge who had the best fight? Is it that you got out of there quickest? Is it, who had the most knockdowns? Who gets the victory in the gym? Who gets the most bragging rights after, the past performance up there on the Prospect Series card?
Honestly, to us at the gym, it doesn't matter who gets the bragging rights. We all did the job, so it doesn't matter who gets the most credit for the fastest knockout or the best knockout or anything like that, right?
I guess so. I mean, come on, we got to put the chest out a little bit more. We got the alpha males, going at it there. Someone's got to have some bragging rights. I mean, I think you might get it not only because you got out there quicker, but you also fought a guy who was 8 inches taller, at a 7-inch reach on you, and put him out quickest. So, as you're coming in there, what was the game plan? Obviously, you knew you're gonna have to get inside in order to get your big shots off. When you were looking at this fight against Ibsen coming in, how was it just that you knew you'd be quicker and be able to get your shots off when you wanted? Did you have to throw some feints? What was the game plan going in, which obviously worked out to perfection, getting the first round TKO victory?
The game plan for this fight was to outbox him. I knew he wasn't a boxer. I knew he was an MMA fighter, Muay Thai striker. I knew he wasn't a boxer. So my plan for this fight was just try to outbox him, try to show off my boxing skills, throw a whole bunch of feints, throw punches that weren't hard but very, very precise. So if my opportunity does come to throw a specific punch, I land the punch and not waste it with, throwing it pretty hard and just miss, because he's a long guy. Like you said, he's a tall guy. So the opportunities to do damage are very limited, right?
Well, you made the most of them right out of the gates there. You hit that, I think it was a 3-2-3, if I'm not mistaken, about 20 seconds in to catch him, to put him on the ground the first time. Then he got, even when he got up from that one, it didn't look like he was all, regular, like he was right. It looked like something was off right away. As they said on the broadcast, Chris Lights Out Lytle, was pointing that out right away. Then you got him right back again with the left hook about 20 seconds later. And then, you knew right then, it seemed like that it was over because you jumped right on him, hit him with the big rights. And with just over a minute left, the refs calling it, not even giving him a chance to get up, knew it was over. What was it like from your vantage point in there as you're, started to land those shots? Did you know with every knockdown that, it was just going to be your night and he really didn't have much of a chance? Or was there still some, in the back of your head keeping you humble, saying, be careful, don't get too cocky, this guy might be able to catch you if you don't pay attention?
I mean, it is bare knuckle, right? So any type of punch does a lot of damage. So after my first knockdown, I was still a little bit cautious that I had to pick my punches, and that's how I actually ended up with this little cut right here. It could have been a lot more. It could have been a lot worse. I could have lost the fight because of a cut if I was just reckless throwing a whole bunch of punches, right? So after the first knockdown, I knew I had him. I knew he could have handled my power, but I still had to remain composed a little bit just to make sure I don't fall into any traps he's setting up.
And you made sure you didn't. You got the job done and had some words for some people afterwards. You taking shots at the champ Kai Stewart at 145 because that was his guy. Thought he was going to beat you. Does that fuel you when people are underestimating you in a situation like this, or does it not even matter the trash talk that happens before a fight?
The trash talk before a fight doesn't matter to me. I'm going to come in with the exact same mindset that my goal is to knock the person out. With the champion of 145, Kai Stewart, throwing a whole bunch of trash talk my way just because I'm fighting his teammate, I don't know. To me, that doesn't seem so champion-like, especially for a guy that's fighting on a prospect card after having his first win, right? So to me, it felt like, he's scared. Scared of what? Scared of a guy on a prospect card that's now 2-0, right? He has a right to be scared, but, it is what it is. I'm coming for his head.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you hopefully get in there, get that deal, and do some more damage here for the BKFC, maybe even down here in the States. Although I know you got bigger plans after the fight. You're saying, hey, let's go to Spain. Throw me on that card. October 12th, just a month away. Hopefully we'll see if we can make that happen. But now, have you had any talks from Dave or Nate about possibility of getting that deal? Because that obviously is the ultimate goal, being on these Prospect Series cards, these great performances by you. Have they talked to you yet about the future?
I actually have a meeting with my management team today to figure out what's going on. But I know they've been in talks with Nate Shuck and all those guys from BKFC about what we're planning for the future, whether it is actually in October or maybe sometime next year, maybe December too, right? I'm not really sure. I just have to talk to my management team about all that and talk to my wife and all that to see if she's all good with it, because the past 3 months have been a hell for her too, right? So
Yeah, we always know what you guys go through in camps. No one ever talks about what's going on behind the scenes with the family and the sacrifices they're making at that same time. You talked about Kai Stewart. Obviously, you say you're going for his belt. Is 145 more of where you want to be in the future? And this was just the opportunity to fight at lightweight. What is the future if you have your say in what you want to do with going forward with the BKFC?
I'll go between the two, 145, 155. Obviously, I'm a little fat at 155. You probably watched the fight. You could see that I don't have any abs, right? So I could obviously get a little bit leaner and go down to 145. So I think I'll just fluctuate between the two weight classes possibly.
Well, I mean, that power translated at lightweight, I'd be even scarier at 145, I'm sure. If that's what you can do when you're calling yourself fat, I can only imagine what it's going to be like when you feel like you're in peak shape, ready to go. But another great performance by you, Hassan El Hamin. Thanks so much for joining us. It was a great fight by you, another great performance. Looking forward to hearing what's going on for you in the future with the BKFC. Just another awesome fight for you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Hopefully you guys have me on here again.
We're looking forward to it. Hopefully you get that call soon, and maybe even in a couple of weeks as you get ready to fly over to Spain. We will see. That is Hungry Hassan right now, and he obviously living up to the nickname, as you heard him say, like, give me the money, give me the deal. I'll jump on a plane to go over to Europe right now. He's ready to fight. We're ready to see him again after another great performance. And when we come back here on Bare Knuckle Fighting Main Event, we'll wrap things up and look forward to another Canadian fighting down in the States here this week here on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
JJ McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go. Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship. The golf has been mesmerizing. They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go!
That's what champions do.
Welcome back as we wrap up another episode of Bare Knuckle Fighting Main Event on SportsGrid. Thank you so much to our guests on the show today. Of course, Drew Wildboy Stuvie, Super Chad Lucanis, and Hungry Hassan Al Hanim. All great fighters there at Wolf House up there in Edmonton. As we're talking about with those guys. I mean, everyone knows Shift MMA for the success that they've had. There's some other gyms that are making a name for themselves. Obviously, with a couple guys coming out of Great Falls and Kai Stewart, the champion. You had Ibsen on this card as his guy. There's some other guys coming out from different gyms around the country. In the Carolinas, we have a couple fighters, training together. So there have been a number of places that have had, success here early in the, BKFC and in bare knuckle fighting. And it seems like Wolf House up in Edmonton might have their own stamp and calling card as being one of the top gyms in this sport. If these guys get on the BKFC roster and make some big waves like they have in these Prospect Series hard cards. Great performances by all three of them. And we look forward to seeing what the future will be for them with the BKFC. Hopefully it is some big spots on some numbered cards here where we get to see them more prominently, as they have proven that they can do it up there. Let's bring them into the mix, see what they can do down here. I'm sure all that is in the works, as you heard them talking about. But, awesome card in Edmonton. Now we go down a little bit south, down to Salt Lake City, Utah, where we get some action this weekend. And this one is going to have a title on the line, the women's flyweight title, with Christine the Misfit Faria putting her belt up for grabs and, giving a chance to Jade Masang Wong, another Canadian fighter. This one in Salt Lake, the Quebec fighter there, Masang Wong, obviously very tough. She had some great fights there for the BKFC, 3-1 so far. Beat Crystal Pittman, beat Taylor Starling, beat Gabrielle Roman. Those last two were back-to-back and both by stoppage. So, showing that she can have some power as well as some, great boxing as well. So, different styles from her so far in her fights. Her only loss, that one loss that we had highlighted there, was against Christine Vichenz by stoppage back in 2022. Now, we were talking about, does Vichenz jump her? Because it's been a while since we've seen her. We haven't seen her since that first Prospect Series card in Edmonton earlier this year. Vichenz fought most recently and, had that win over her. So does a big win by her get her that title shot as Misfit Faria waited for an opponent? It did not. Masang Wong holds on to this spot. She gets the next shot at the champion, and now she will take that in Salt Lake City. It's a shot that most people have not had success in. Of course, Misfit Faria now 6-fight win streak. 6 of her 8 wins are by stoppage, 8-1 overall. Her lone loss was a long time ago. Hasn't lost in over 5 years. Has beaten Britton Hart twice. Beat Beck Rawlings twice. Beat Taylor Starling so quickly that, it became a meme. She has been one of the most ferocious fighters in the BKFC, not just in the women's side, but overall. Looking to defend her title for the 4th time. That would be a record. She holds the record for most stoppages by the females. She holds, the longest win streak of any female fighter in the BKFC. So she has just continued to be the standard bearer for the BKFC women's divisions, and maybe even, one of the best pound for pound BKFC fighters overall. Now she's coming in here to defend her title. Was supposed to do it back in April, or actually I believe May, up there in Connecticut against the former championship boxer in Heather Hardy, but unfortunately that fell through due to injuries Hardy sustained over her career. So it's been a while since we've seen her, since her 2 fights last year against Beck Rawlings. It's coming in there. She's got to be ready to defend this. We know that she's been itching to defend this belt. It's hard to put an opponent in front of her because so many women are afraid of her and what she has done to the rest of this division. But now Jade Masang Wong will stand in front of her and see if she can be the one to finally stop that win streak. We love Masang Wong. She has been awesome. She's an exciting fighter. I just don't see it happening. This is one of those you cannot bet against the champ until she loses. And she has not shown that she is slowing down or slipping at all yet. We've seen the footage of her in the gym throughout all this, sparring, not just other women, but men, putting in her best. Until she loses, I can't pick against her. And then the co-main event for this one, lightweight between Little Heathen Stevens and Bobby ODB Taylor. Of course, Jeremy Stevens, a longtime MMA veteran, almost 50 pro fights before he got to the BKFC. When you look at the names that he has fought and beaten, guys like, Calvin Qatar, he's fought Yara Rodriguez, Jose Aldo, Gilbert Melendez, Frankie Edgar, Max Holloway, Henan Barao, Donald Cerrone, Anthony Pettis, Rafael Dos Anjos, Gleison Tebow. Pretty much a who's who of the lighter divisions of MMA over the last decade. He's fought them all, and he's beaten a bunch of them too. He's a tough dude. 1-0 in the BKFC after beating Jimmy Rivera, another former UFC title challenger. Thought the Dr. Stoppage kind of screwed Rivera because I thought he was getting that victory. I thought he was on his way to the victory, but of course, the cuts are always a danger in the BKFC, so Jeremy Stevens ends up 1-0. Now against ODB Taylor, who's actually a little older, 6-2 in the BKFC, looking to get in that title picture. I don't know. I think Bobby Taylor might have this one, as tough as Little Stevens is. When we come back next week, we'll recap that card and look ahead here on Bare Knuckle Fighting Main Event. Enjoy the fights out in Salt Lake. Thanks so much.